My name is Mrs. Johnson, and I am so happy that you are here with me today. We are doing it in a little bit of a different format than usual. As you guys know, I usually have the wide StreamYard layout, but we had Helene and then Milton. And for whatever reason, our Wi-Fi internet provider is still messed up. And my Wi-Fi is not strong enough to actually host the StreamYard program on our PC. It just can't do it. So I have to use our cellular information, our whatever data, and run the show. So we're gonna make this work, and I thank you guys so much for joining me and just kind of dealing with this format today. Um, the one thing is that I will have to move you from this way to the table way, and that'll be a little discombobulating for some of you. So if you have a motion thing, I will warn you before we do that. That being said, happy fall, y'all. Happy fall. Okay. Um, Today we are going to do spooky silhouette houses. So I have, I'm using a 9 by 12, but you guys know that usually I would do a 12 by 18. I like the kids to do nice big art, but so that you have the full view on our little art table, I have to do it in the smaller format. But if you're short on markers, this is a great way to save on your markers. Because Sharpies do dry out really fast. And we are using Sharpies today. I would like to have a variety of thicknesses for my students. So I use fine point, a regular Sharpie, and the chiseled Sharpie to fill in those big spaces. Now, you know that Sharpies are permanent markers, and it is essential for us to have permanent marker. It doesn't have to be Sharpie. If you have a different brand that you prefer, that works just great. But we want those permanent markers because we're going to watercolor over top of this art. And if you watercolor on a not permanent marker, disaster. It starts to bleed and muddy into your painting, and that's a little bit sad. The kids will get sad and frustrated. I've done it before where I outlined thickly in the Sharpie and then had the kids fill in with a regular marker, but then there's the two tones of ink and it doesn't give quite the same effect. But you do what you have to do with the materials that you have, because I understand that Sharpies are more expensive, and that is frustrating and a bummer if you have a small budget school. So I'm going to go ahead and switch you around. Oh, before we go, I just want to tell you a little bit about what's going on. So as I said, the internet's not working. So we lived through Helene, but then we decided to evacuate for um, Milton. And we ended up in Georgia because I couldn't even get a hotel in Florida. We ended up way up far away. Oh, the only ones I could find in Florida were on the water, and I just didn't think that that was a good idea. And I didn't want my four kids to be traumatized by hearing the storm. Excuse me. And now I have a cold on top of everything. So it's been quite the time. The kids have been out of school for a couple of weeks, and they just had a half week. We went back on Wednesday, and I just have to say, it has been a lot for everyone. There are many people. There's over 12,000 homes that have been affected. So 12,000, it was almost 13. It's either 12,600 and something or 12,900 and something. And that have been affected in some way. Their home had major damage or some damage or whatever it is. But so the major damage people, they lost everything. And I mean everything. The water came in. And a lot of people have these bungalow styles, which is a one level, which means their entire home was flooded and they lost all the items in their home. It's just really traumatic and sad. And that being said, we evacuated, but the children are being exposed to the news and everybody talking about it here. And that's all we talk about. How did you do? How did you make it through? Are you okay? Oh, good. Da 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 da. Or oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, what can I do for you? So the kids are just hearing this conversation as we go through our day everywhere. I mean, we say it to everyone at the grocery store and our mailman and everyone. And yesterday morning, my daughter woke up and then goes, Mom, I had the worst dream of my life. She's like, I dreamed that our house was flooded. And then she started going into this whole story about her dream. and worrying about the house flooding. So even children that weren't present are feeling the effects of the post-traumatic stress of the whole situation. They were out of their routine. They didn't go to school. They were worried about their home and their items. So I just ask if you have any consideration for donating to people. That is so awesome. A lot of people need essential needs, but now their essential needs are being met, and these kids' needs of emotional support is not being met. And I started an initiative for art therapy classes. I'm going to bring art therapy classes into the schools and working with the social workers and guidance counselors to directly help those students that were the most affected by the storm and give them these free art classes, but they can't be free. I need to buy the materials in my time, and I have my own small child that would need childcare. So, although I would wish I could give it to them completely free, I have to actually pay for the necessities because I have 4 kids and I don't have that much money to just throw it the wind. However, you know, heartfelt I feel about this movement. There is a GoFundMe link if you have any desire. I mean, even a $5, a coffee donation is a huge help for these kids. So that being said, thank you so much for your time and listening to that. Let's get into our drawing. Okay, I am moving you. Hang in there. Here we go. We're gonna flip the script. We're gonna attach you to the monitor. All right, my dears, and here we go. I hope this works for you. Oh, you can see way more of that than I intended. Let's see. You don't want to see my lap, do you? Weird. And then you can see, oh, my kids left their catalog on my art table. They don't, you don't need their art catalog in here either. Here we go. And the computer helps me monitor what's going on. All right, and we're off to the races. I think we got this. All right, so we're going to start with our art vertical, which means the long way up and down. And someone let the Roomba start, so if you hear that in the background, that's a thing. Okay, so the first step is we are going to draw a hill. So we're going to have this black space at the bottom. So the hill is also a silhouette. So I just a nice curved line. And I sometimes draw sketchily. Oh, you guys, I don't think you can see that, can you? Let me draw it a little bit with a little more gusto. And I've warned my students not to do that because if I do it really light, I can erase it, but children tend to not have a light hand. And so just tell them to give a nice short line, nice confident line, okay? And it looks like I'm seeing a little bit of pixelation on the video. I apologize, it is what it is. I wish it was better for today. Okay, so we're gonna put our house in the middle. And I want you to think about, I maybe shouldn't even, sorry, I'm not used to doing it on small paper. I should have made my hill lower. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again because I can. Okay, making my hill lower because I want more room for my cool house. Let's try that again. All right, now think of this as like the Shrieking Shack. If anybody's a Harry Potter fan, the Shrieking Shack, or like the Weasley's house. Okay, so this house has been added on to, and it's so old that things are, getting lopsided and not made nicely anymore. So I'm going to make it smaller at the bottom and kind of getting bigger at the top. So I want this kind of sprawling effect. And you don't have to make it quite that way. You could have it be more straight up and down if you wanted. And then I'm going to just do a light line to kind of give me an idea where that section ends, but I'm not going to make it for definite. Gosh, it really is pixelated. I'm sorry, guys. We're having just all sorts of internet-y problems and cellular problems, apparently. Okay, so from there, I can design all kinds of things. I could make a porch. Attached to the side of the house. And this porch will have slats. And maybe a freaked out cat. It's kind of a large cat. Probably should have made him a little bit smaller. And not used to doing this little one. Okay. And then maybe a couple of tombstones off in the distance. Nice cross. Okay. Then let's see, let's build onto our house. And remember, things can come off of it in wonky ways. You could have normal roofs or you can have stylized roofs. So maybe I'm going to go, okay, they built on and they kind of made this weird addition and they gave it this funky kind of Archie Victorian style roof. But it's not even, it's gonna, we're going all the way. I could do this, I could even curly, I could even make it loop-de-loop if I wanted to. And they're going to do a chimney coming out of here. Kind of a funny stovepipe chimney. And let's see. They had this other weird addition. I'm gonna make maybe like a more gothic type structure. So it's like stone style roof. There we go. maybe kind of like a castle top. I don't know. I'm just getting creative here. Get inspired. And maybe I have a flag on here. Okay. This area I could make this into a walkway or a catwalk, or it could just be another part of the building. I think I just might do that. Just make it another part of the building. So we're gonna make a little roof. I'm gonna make a circle window. Try to get my circle a little more circular. Yikes. And I'm gonna make a little spider web. All right, guys. How many legs does a spider have? If you answer 8, you are correct. Arachnids have 8 legs, 4 on each side. Let's see, what other kooky window shapes could I do? I'm gonna do, like, this one's gonna be a Gothic style window. And I can thicken these lines up as I go later. I'm gonna make this have a window also, because why not? Right into my roof, it's a little sunroof top. And I can make the lines in my windows even funky, you know? It doesn't have to be straight per se. I have like haunted mansion music going on in my head right now. Actually, let's see. I'm gonna bring this in. I'm gonna do this. Make it look like a tombstone shape. Why not? Oh, where'd my good eraser go? Hello, good eraser. There you are. Running out of pencil eraser. I always like to have a big eraser. This is actually not my favorite kind of eraser. Green ones. Those are my favorite. Of course, I like kneaded erasers, not necessarily for this. I don't think they're necessary. It's more for when I'm using like charcoals. But that being said, let's see. We can make a fence. And I guess you could just draw the line right through because it's not going to matter because you don't have to erase it because it's all going to get filled in black. Now I could do, ooh, my door open, but it's not a regular door. It's a Dungeness door. has the little spikies on it. Throw those in with the marker. Okay, I can have a pad going from my door. A ghost. Some kind of like spirit. Okay. Now maybe some more windows to make it a little more visually interesting. Maybe make these windows wonky. Can't crack in my window. All right, so that's about the gist of it. The last thing, and I forgot to grab it, I was going to grab a Pringles can, but I'll just use this instead. But I want to put a moon somewhere. Lightly, lightly draw around your circular object. Pringles top is great, but if you don't have that, any circular container will work. And so then once I'm at this point, I'm going to then go ahead and start to draw out with my Sharpie. So I forgot to put my lines into this. I'm going to make this into a window. It looks like a casket shape, old school casket shape. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in window lines. And now it's a window. Okay? Just be confident. You don't want shaggy lines. You do not outline your moon in a Sharpie. Don't do it. You will be sad that you did, because it's going to look way cooler if you do not. And I'll show you that step when we get there. Okay. So, let's see. I'm trying to think, what else can I share with you guys as I'm drawing? Told you about the GoFundMe. Oh, so take a moment, if you're here with me and you've watched this far, please do like this video. And if you do not yet, please make sure that you subscribe. I didn't like the curve, so I'm just going to straighten that out. Also, if your Sharpie starts to dry out, a trick is to draw slower. Give the ink more time to get onto the paper versus trying to go fast. Also, put the cap back on and store it in a container upside down and allow the ink in the marker to drain more to the tip. Let it rest. And that can extend the life of your marker a little bit. But yeah, Sharpies are kind of a love-hate relationship. They're more expensive and they dry out quickly. Frustrates me very much as a teacher. Okay. every once in a while I would buy a cheaper version of permanent marker, and they were okay. See, this one's not that great. It's drying out. I had an art camp. Actually, we did this assignment. So my Sharpies are dying. This one's worse than that one. Oh no, horror. So my Sharpies are dying one at a time. They were new this year. Bum, bum, bum. Just draw and fill in your fence. So remember when I said you can just draw right through? You can just draw right through. It's going to be okay. And we're going. So for those of you that are not live, I will probably cut out some of this to shorten it. So through the magic of television, all of a sudden you might see me done with this part or progressing faster. That's the problem with lives, is that you then have to let it process. So it takes a long time for it to process into the YouTube studio side of things before you can actually do those kinds of edits. And then you don't, and now with the new process that they have made, you don't want to share out content like shorts, because then when you go back into edit, it will delete your shorts because it says the owner of the content, even though you are the owner of the content, has changed it, and they get to have the right to have their content however they want. Well, isn't that special? Because now it deletes my own short from myself. So it's gotten to be a little bit of a tedious task because it's not the only thing I do. I'm not a YouTuber per se. I'm a mom of four. I have the ArtsyFartzy Club, which is an art center in the East Lake, Florida, which is Palm Harbor area of Florida, or Tarpon Springs. We're right on the edge of both, so it makes it a little complicated. But anyway, I have a little art studio that I try to teach kids out of, and that demands more of my time than sitting here trying to re-edit my YouTubes. So frustrating. So I can thicken lines just by going, 2, 3, or 4 across. Got an idea. I'm going to make these spindles a little more decorative too. Adding these little details make your art more interesting to look at. I tell my kids that. I go, it's just like writing, and I'll tell them both ways. So you add extra details to your writing, describing words. Same thing when you're doing your art, you're going to add extra details. And those extra details are what makes it more interesting for the viewer. Just like extra details in your story make it more interesting for your reader. So whatever your student is good at, they're a better writer than they are an artist. That's a nice way for them to understand it, and vice versa. If they're a better artist than they are a writer, you can use that to alliterate to them why it's important to add details in their story. All right. We're getting there, guys. Oh, I should use the little Sharpie fine point to make a fine crack. Crack, crack. Okay. Use the fine point on your spider web as well. This is why I like having a variety of materials. Makes it a lot more interesting to look at. And then I'm going to come back in with my eraser and erase um, any lines I'm not happy with. Any pencil marks that show, I should say. Be a little more explanatory. So you can outline with this one. I wouldn't color in with your fine point. That would be awful. Then come back in with your thicker marker. Be careful as things get narrow that you don't undo your delicate work with the fat marker. And this one I was like, oh, what am I doing? I'm not going to color that in with a fine point. That'd be awful. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. What's also sad about doing this live on YouTube with my phone versus doing it in StreamYard is that I'm not able to shoot it over to the Instagram at the same time. Not like I normally would. Don't know if I really want these to be this skinny. I mean, they're supposed to be like metal iron rods, right? It can stab into somebody if we shut the gate on top of them. But it is what it is. I don't know. I think it'll add to it with having the variety of line. Every once in a while, I hear Percy the cat breathing in the background. Give a little sigh. My family is out of the building so that I can do this in somewhat quiet. I think he's like, the 4 children that terrorize me are gone. Fantastic. He loves visiting me in my art room. I have lots of stuff in here. He likes to hide in it. This is the one room of the house that's still kind of a junk room. I have worked very hard to clean the rest of my house. Okay. Oh no, we're not done. He's a very upset cat. Must be seeing a spooky ghost in the cemetery across the way. How you doing, buddy? Is my talking disturbing you? Sorry. Enjoy your rest over there, buddy. He is actually in a bean bag right now that I used to use before my latest child number 4 came into the world. I was a newborn photographer for quite some time, and I would use this bean bag to pose the babies with blankets and stuff over top. Anyway, he has now usurped that. It's one of my angel children pulled that out. I don't like that. That marker's too fat to make a nice crisp edge or across. Come back, make pointed corners on those crosses. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Yeah. See, like this little tiny fine cross wouldn't happen with a regular Sharpie. So it's nice to have a variety of tips. All right. Now once I get this done, I'm going to color in the rest of the black. So there's a couple other little things that I could have done. Let's see. I'm going to throw in maybe a pumpkin here sitting on the fence. Hey, there. My name's Toothless Joe. There are 999 spirits here, but there's always room for one more. Oh, poop! Oh, Mrs. Johnson, that was sick. Just trying to. Oh no, what happened? Uh-oh. Hello. That's not cool. No. Weird. Why is it doing that? What's happening here? Oh my goodness, you guys. I don't know what's happening. Let's try this. No. That's awful. Is it because somebody called? goodness. Why? No, I don't want to end. Poop. No, it's still black. I don't even know if you guys can hear me.